Okay, well, first up, Rittenhouse. I mean, it was chaotic. He came to the University of Memphis. Turning Point USA's chapter at the university invited him, but it was met with a very hostile welcome. So, yeah, starting off, I know there was a lot of Facebook live streams, and students were putting on, just going viral for some of the things that they were saying. But what do you guys just think about Rittenhouse even being there in the first place?
Well, obviously, I'm a First Amendment guy. And so I've said publicly, you know, even though he had nothing to offer in the way of substance in my mind, let him speak. The university is a public institution. They uphold free speech. And so this was a free speech issue. So let him speak. But I also said that people had a right to protest, and boy, did they protest, to the point where he just abruptly walked off the stage. I think the backlash to all of that has been both positive and negative, where the protesters were concerned. But everybody has a right to be heard here. They listened to him for a while, until they got tired of him, and so they started booing him. He didn't really have a prepared speech anyway, and so he opened it up to questions, was very defensive in the question and answers, and then just abruptly walked away, and then they chased him out of the garage. It was not the finest hour, but Turning Point USA should have known what was going to happen here by bringing someone as divisive as he is to the campus, especially someone who has really no interesting thing to say about much of anything.
Right, you would think they would fill the room out a little bit more.
Well,
Sam?
Otis, I would say, too, that if they had to know, maybe they did know. Maybe that was the point. Maybe the entire point of this was maybe not what Kyle Rittenhouse had to say or what anyone had to say to him, but to maybe boost the name ID of Kyle Rittenhouse and another controversial figure, because I think our politics these days, and I have to be careful as a news reporter here, but our politics these days is built on internet celebrity. And what is Kyle Rittenhouse but an internet celebrity who is famous for shooting two people, really, and the backlash and the sort of divisiveness that has come with that. And so, to me, it just seemed like there was some First Amendment speech exercised. It was exercised. A lot of people had some thoughts about it. Now it's gone.
Right. And
I can't disagree with that.
He didn't even really get through his speech before he was booed, and then ended up doing a question and answer portion. But let's take a look at our Zaria Oates was there, and she covered both sides, and let's see how she covered the story.
Kyle's become sort of a poster boy for Second Amendment rights and the right to self-defense.
Kyle Rittenhouse, most known for being acquitted after killing two men and shooting another at a protest in 2020, made an appearance at the University of Memphis Wednesday night. He talked to students about the Second Amendment, his actions in 2020, and his views on gun violence in Memphis. But a majority of students were very strongly against his invite to speak.
Picking that specific person was intentional. You bringing him to a campus where there's a wide diversity of people was intentional.
The University of Memphis chapter of Turning Point USA invited Rittenhouse to speak. The University of Memphis made it clear that it's his First Amendment right to give his speech, so students who disagree with his message chose to get tickets and either voice their disapproval of him or not show up altogether.
The goal is to take up space, but mostly to take up space from the people that have harmful ideologies.
Turning Point USA says they are not going to comment on inviting him to speak. However, supporters of Rittenhouse say they just have a different political view than those protesting his speech.
The left wing has pointed Kyle out as a murderous psychopath. I do disagree.
This isn't freedom of speech, this is hate speech.
So you're definitely seeing all the video of the protesting, the rushing out. Both sides, though. I mean, what do you all take away from that, Sam?
Well, again, what I take away from it is that he was here. He was given an opportunity to say what he had to say. He really didn't say anything. I don't think he had any kind of a cogent speech prepared. He was just coming in there to say again, as he said before, I was a victim, I was fearing for my life, what question do you have? And they peppered him with a lot of questions, including some very deep ones about racism, about gun control, about a 17-year-old having a gun in the first place. So, I mean, there were a lot of questions asked before he walked off the stage. He just didn't answer many of them because he got too defensive.
Yeah, he's 21 years old. and he was 17 when he was charged, and I don't know how old he was when the trial ended, and he was acquitted. But this is a young man answering to other young people. I mean, it was sort of maybe a classic case of, college and First Amendment rights. And I remember at the University of Missouri, there weren't divisive things like this, but there was always these colliding viewpoints, and this was a souped up version of that. And I think a lot of people hate Reddit on the internet. A lot of people really believed in it on the internet. And it's also interesting to me that maybe far more people read about this and watched video of this than actually attended the event.
No question.
It was sort of like much ado about a couple hours.
And if you were to see his response when he got back to where he was going, he felt it was more successful than what the media portrayed of the whole thing, too, if you watch Rittenhouse response. I do want to touch now on some of the responses from both national lawmakers and some right here in Memphis. So first off, U.S. Senator Bill Hagerty weighed in. His quote saying, using threats and intimidation to silence those with different viewpoints is reprehensible and un-American. This behavior is not representative of the great city of Memphis. And then frequent guest here, Reverend Whalum, also had some input. He said, I think the fact that our young people aren't as demonstrative about our people killing our people is symptomatic of a pathology. So what do you all take from those two takes? Well,
first of all, let's talk about Senator Hagerty. I think it's pretty rich for him to talk about stifling speech when it's his party that is banning books, that expelled 2 state lawmakers for speaking out of turn, that is now intimidating and even threatening teachers and professors if they talk about anything related to systemic racism. So, I mean, don't come here with that for me. And also, he threw a bone at the end by saying the great city of Memphis. I mean, that was just a throwaway line at the end. He doesn't know about Memphis and really doesn't care that much about Memphis. As far as my friend Ken Whalum is concerned, though, I contend that people do care about killings that happen, so-called black-on-black killings in town. I mean, we have vigils all the time. We have marches against violence all the time. But the people who are committing those crimes are not being invited to the University of Memphis to give a speech. And so that's the difference here that I see here, with all due respect to my friend Ken.
I'm not qualified to weigh in on what Reverend Whalum said, I don't think. But from Senator Hagerty, I think, what else was Senator Hagerty going to say? I mean, that's red meat to his base. He can't exactly say, oh, I don't agree that Kyle Rittenhouse came to speak. I mean, I think that gets you lampooned on, Salem Radio Network and Fox News. That Bill Hagerty's got to say what he's got to say there.
Well, if he's going to say it, then there's an old saying, sweep around your own front door. And so sweep around where the Republicans are who are banning books. That's stifling free speech. You are kicking out lawmakers. That's stifling free speech. And you're telling professors you can't say what you need to say to teach your class. That's hypocrisy to me.
Definitely. Well, either way, it seemed like it ruffled a lot of people's feathers enough to say something. All right, well, when we return, Arzaria Oates is actually going to join us on a different story about the Shelby County Clerk's Office. We'll be right back.